Hey everybody, we thought we'd show you this cool place we found on our trip to Volcano, California, the Black Chasm Caverns. We got there kind of late in the day and we only had 5 minutes to go before they had a tour going into the caverns. Like, we didn't even know that thing existed, so they said that there was a dragon in the cavern, so we had to check it out.
Yeah. Last for the day. 5 minutes to decide.
We had no
to see
idea.
if we wanted to go find a dragon. So.
We had no idea what we were getting into, so we decided to go ahead and pay the $22 for the tour and go down. What was it, 160 something steps, they said?
Yeah.
Down into the cave.
Yeah.
But
turns out that wasn't for me. That wasn't the thing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I chickened out about 6 steps in.
Yeah. But they said the Matrix films actually copied some of the stuff from inside the cave and used in their movie, which was kind of a cool fact.
Yeah.
They wanted to film inside, but the cavern people said, no way, you'd ruin our cave, so.
See how that might happen.
So anyway, our audio is kind of funky. We fixed it where we could, but the guy was saying so much cool information. Yeah, you just have to bear with us. If you listen, you'll hear a lot of cool information. So
yeah, far too much for anyone to remember.
But it was a very interactive tour. The guy, I talked to him lots of times through it, and he would answer my questions and got to play with his flashlight on the wall, and you'll see that. But it was really neat.
Yeah, and I have fun above ground, all by myself, mining for gemstones.
Yeah, and you'll see that later on in the video too. So, yeah, watch and see what you like.
Now these crazy little guys that do not like any of gravity's rules are called calyptites. Now the helix comes from the Greek word helix, which means spiral, and if you look at these guys under a microscope, their crystal tessellation actually spirals up. And the other cool thing about them is they're actually only existing in about 5% of caves in the entirety of the world. What you're seeing is one of the only 3 caves in North America that has any of these to offer. Now, the largest would be the Timpanogos Cave in Utah. The third largest would be the Lechuguilla Cave, and that is all the way down in Texas. Now, these are the full reason we have a national landmark status. Now, I don't want to spoil too much of it as we go on, because there's a lot more in the landmark room, but these guys are very rare in the sense of we don't know entirely all of the processes that make them. The historical chambers, make its way down to here, but these guys, they like to hang out in the colossal room and on the very back walls, in the landmark room and the very back walls of the colossal chamber. They're also extremely acute sensitive to sound. Even though this environment really does travel very well on account of every rough little ridge here that loves to bounce off flat surfaces, and that's anything but this place.
And these ropes coming up, you'll see all kinds of riggings and ropes and a ladder. It's all left over from before this was actually a tour. Some people snuck in and a kid fell and broke his back, and they had to rescue him. And so they came in and they had to do all these riggings.
Now, the other problem with that is this is a baby cave that you very well know the repercussions of damaging breaking things, even though the law had said it, he was very well aware of it. And on top of that, he had to be as very careful as he could getting him out of here. Also, he had broken his back. Sorry, the victim himself. So he had to keep him perfectly level as he got him out of the cave itself. Now, 8 hours down here with a broken back, not being able to move, he's very, very lucky he didn't come alone, because that probably wouldn't have been the greatest ending for that story. But fortunately, he was able to recover and hasn't actually been back. Purple little flecks on these walls. And all these are actually just from the clothes on us and just exhaling, but basically just existing around these rocks. Now, those are technically harmful and will stunt the growth of these formations. That's how genuinely sensitive they are. But the cool thing is the natural impurities, not those, man-made ones, they actually hold on to light in an event called fluorescence, and they diffuse and emit energy at a lower rate. So I can actually draw on this wall because of that. And if we actually go to the middle here, where we have less of the man-made impurities blocking out those, you can get a lot better of a drawing here.
It doesn't taste like salt.
No, unfortunately. My favorite guess for this one was root beer, but I was sorely mistaken on every part. But if anyone would like to try, I go for it. And this is entirely because of most of this infusion. You can actually tell a lot of the coloration itself, right, by the impurities. So typically, the yellow would more indicate a magnesium or an iron hue inside of them that's causing that diffusion. But because of that, they actually dictate the color that it'll be. So I still can't figure out what gives it this greenish hue, because it can range from yellow all the way to blue, even purple in some extents, but at that point you're probably just looking at man-made impurities. But the mineral impurities in here, I still can't figure out what else gives it that yellowish color with the green. Or sorry, the green with the yellow. My best guess is pyroxenes, which are small little pollutants that come in from other minerals, especially in gravel and in the marble, which is lining this cave. But it's still, I'd have to chip out the wall and act. they will close up, especially during the dry seasons if mineral is left at the bottom, and it will close up and expunge water outward, making more of these beautiful stalactite lakes. These all started out as soda straws and actually continued growing. This is all flowstone from a different channel. You can actually see the top lip of that up there, but you kind of have to stand here. But these soda straws are also the culprit for our chartreuse chandeliers, which have been growing for about 500,000 years. This impressive set of draperies has been flown just from the drips going down, and as one sheath is made, another gets formed instead as that water continues to carry on. And from these drippings, we actually got our crocodile right here. This is Ricky. It's not too strong right now. You can actually only hold up about 3-year-olds and he would essentially break off. But Ricky used to have a real big pain in his back, and that actually these guys right here. These beautiful stalagmites, this is our Java the Hutt, and this is our Pac-Man ghost. They actually all used to be suspended in air because this used to be a false floor. If you guys notice right here, the lip, that all used to be hanging connected to what we call Manny or manta ray here. Now, that's also why we have this green color on a lot of formations on this side. This is all dirt that was picked up 90,000 years ago that was eventually thrown and strewn around. Now, unfortunately though, because of this shelf falling, you guys notice all these familiar little powder marks. These all used to be stalactites. Unfortunately, they have to strip off. They will not get into it. Tessellation of the crystals which are damaged, and the structure itself is not very accurate. But, fortunately for us, we do have a good number over here still left, and even more fortunate, that isn't our actual nursery. Our actual nursery is just down the street. I can cut the legs, especially people that have lost. But I can drop everyone over this wall. Welcome to the second largest collection right here.
Then after we walked this way, we were looking on the wall, and the guy started explaining about how here is the dragon. And I'm looking around, and it's this little thing on the wall up here. It looks like a dragon. And I guess in one of the first pictures, they took a picture of this and put it on the paper, and so that's where it came up with this name and the logo of the dragon. It's a black chasm dragon, I guess.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
The lake used to exist up there until eventually it evaporated off, leaving behind all the minerals. And part of that floor itself, with the runoff water, ran through a channel that actually made butterflies. So same lake too. Now, the cool thing about this room is it's half the size of the chamber that we're standing in, twice as many stalagmites and stalactites, alongside the back crystal basin. Unfortunately, you can't really get tours up there. It's kind of hard getting people in there, even just to change a light bulb. It's like the start of a bad joke. It takes about 3 guys They primarily get it from the calcite coating on them, all crystallized, ready to go, and primarily because of how big these sheaths are. Now these took over 100,000 years to grow, and eventually in about 15,000 more years they'll meet up right here and join these beautiful stalagmites. And another thing I like to show, especially with this, how clear that crystal is. It shines through very, very brightly. Most of the rock down here, all of it will do that to a degree, but if this didn't have a nice little layer of dirt, you'd probably be able to see about a foot of diameter of light, if I could just tangibly pick up this. But you guys notice right here, something is not like it should be. And that is unfortunately the reason we don't have something to look at. So the guy was down here trying to take a picture, and that's totally fine and dandy, but he put his selfie stick and his phone behind butterscotch, trying to get a picture through the sheaths. He then got it stuck and jerked it back, and it broke an 11-inch sheath off. That's about 90,000 years worth of work gone, and it will never be able to form a protein. Now, this wasn't a punishless crime. This is typically about $1,000 fine or a year in jail, whichever pick you want, and this is federally protected. Now, he did pay his $1,000 fine, and unfortunately he wasn't happy with that. So he ended up going to court over it, arguing with the federal judge. And if I'm not mistaken, in my notes, the session lasted 33 minutes, and he was kicked out because of contempt of court. So he got an additional 5 days on top of that argument. Because he's actually also, fun fact, the only person we have ever banned from Black Chasm. We have no real intention of growing that list out, but he's not been back since. So no one knows out there on that one. So fortunately for us, there are small shards in butterscotch, only an inch of it actually. There was a 10-inch sheath remaining, and that 10-inch sheath is actually a federal lockup for future laws to protect themselves. National landmarks, which is in their ways to help them cover. But we actually have armed and broken shards in that inch up in a gift shop itself, where we can allow you guys to freely touch and see us, alongside some holes pipes and some other tools down there. Now, aside from butterscotch, all of the things inside this room are very, very delicate. If you had to pick anything here, probably the most important is straws. They actually oftentimes play their own weight as they form, and especially due to impurities, for example, these ones are they are heavily infused with iron, magnesium, and small bit of copper. And because of that, their tessellated structures do get damaged, and it's just unstable more than anything. So I've also kind of heard people think it looks like the upside down, especially with the heavy rustic infusions in those. But all of those can actually create instability in them, and they will break eventually after getting too heavy for themselves to hold. And that's probably the quickest thing down here in terms of cave time that would actually break. Because, for instance, we live in California, and California loves two things: earthquakes and fire. And this cave has been around for about 2 million years, so it's seen its fair share of both, well, at least one. And because of that, this cave, you would think, would experience more damage, but in actuality, no. This cave is like the 3 balls in a Newton's cradle. And basically, as kinetic energy passes through and around the cave, it essentially just gets rid of it vertically, because this cave's orientation has a few different factors that make it so. Your vertical cave and kinetic energy is just like water. It travels a path of least resistance, and because of that, we are also something the path of least resistance does not like. We are lined with marble and iron. And as that kinetic energy shoots up from the plate shifting, it will pass around the cave, and you get a cool phenomenon. Even in the worst of the worst, like a 10.0 for instance, you would actually hear the walls maybe hum if you're close enough. And that's all that energy passing by. But otherwise, you would have no clue an earthquake was happening down here. Now, we did technically have a group down here when we had the last 6.0 in the San Andreas ship, and they went down just before it happened. They had no clue anything was going on until they came back up and saw that the tops, the very tops towards the entrance, were shaking, and the lodge itself, all the shelves were rattling. They had no clue anything was going on down here. This is pretty much a bunker. As the kinetic energy shoots past it, it then hits the surface, which is about from here, 80 to 90 feet, and then it violently redistributes horizontally. So that's a lot of damage earthquakes come from. It's kind of changed with. But this is kind of a good place to be if you ever had a mass earthquake. Now, I won't lie, the front door is not too great. It'll probably close in on you, but everything else would be fine down here if you got past all that.
Will that one light up with your flashlight too?
You mean the black light?
Yeah, the black light.
My bad. Technically, yes, but
I was just
it
curious.
also depends on the mineral impurity. I wonder if you actually look at it for color. I actually haven't done it too much on these guys. I think it's a little too big. A couple of spots. I'm thinking for this guy, but there is actually one, which is I'll show you guys on the way out, which we actually call the fairy cave, and it is entirely comprised of stalactites, and it does glow and shine. Another cool thing, I don't have one on me, but especially with the green lasers, it shows a lot better through all the more natural-looking formations that aren't covered in pretty much any sort of rustic impurities or even just plain dirt like in the first room. They'll actually glow and shine that light through it because it's so bright, so the entire chunk will turn like night vision green. But we do have a little bit more time down here, and if anyone has any questions or would like to pose, please ask. With that, I'll just leave one to you.
When people like exploring and kind of identifying the
So our first official excavation is some sort of underground, either river, stream, some sort of hydroactivity. And that is the culprit for this very, very special little guy. And he doesn't seem like much. This is our little sorting hat, or our little Hillary Nightmare Before Christmas. This is special. He is actually a stalagmite, meaning he's these guys, but just growing from the floor. Now that means that there has to be some sort of hydrostatic pressure under there, forcing him to grow up against gravity. Honestly, I can tell you more about him, but it would mean breaking him. And unfortunately, that's just not in the cards for him. You like him way too much. And until we get some bigger ones growing, you know, so 2,000 years ago, we won't really have more options to talk about. But he is heavy. There are small little bits of beta stalactites growing out of the floor. In fact, those small little white patches are with the powdery substance. That is what stalactites form. Sorry, stalagmites. But yeah, all that iron. That is all right here. This is all that iron being sheared through the wall from the immense weight overhead. And it's pretty much what you would expect if you were to take like a PB&J and just smash it. Same science really. Now, the other cool thing is most of this chamber is actually coated with iron veins, and that's anytime you see these rusted looking colors, that's all iron. First guess and the second two don't count. But so this wall right here, just trying to remember it, but let's go that way. This wall right here, it's actually all used to be one piece before a lot of that limestone dissolved away. And right where our rockfish is, definitely a lot prettier from the other side, this all used to be suspended in air. And we estimate it fell probably about 875,000 years ago, roughly. But as all this flowstone itself is dissolving away with most of the iron being unable to support it, most of all the rocks here that were connected to it and iron veins fell and helped create as well this stalagmite. See to get to is about 105 to 107 feet, which is bordering just at the actual land we have here on the, technically, I always want to say like on the surface of the beach, but just the bank. Alright, with that, let's go ahead and set back up, and then I'll take this one down a little more real quick. Best person in the job. Wintertime's going to be a little different of a story, but it's still going to be warmer than outside at some point, so that's always a win on its own.
Yeah. You guys get to climb the rope too?
I wish. These are the fun ropes we get to climb.
Yeah.
So this is actually a little leftover from that same team that actually came down in 2003 in the Spartan. So
Probably would be more damage to get rid of it, huh?
Yeah, I was about to say, it's actually suspended around one of the black place we have up there that is technically part of Jameson's original tour.
Huh.
And do watch out on wishing stone. It does work both ways on these.
Got some green going on there.
Yes, sir. That's from the quote-unquote low-impact lights. The humidity in the cave is just low enough for this moss to be facilitated. Now, it will photosynthesize just on the small amounts of light it does get every single day and because of that humidity. So it's technically invasive. It is a cost of keeping the lights on, which is very unfortunate because it does affect the growth of future stalagmites, tights, any sort of flowstone formation really from the calcite.
Pretty awesome.
I know, it's quite a spectacle. I get so many people that live up in Volcano sometimes. They'll pass by and be like, I've lived here for 20 years, X amount of years, and I've driven by this every day on the way to work, and I never stopped in, and they finally do, and they're like, wow. Yeah, absolutely.
So that was the tour of through the tunnel, and since she decided not to go down on the way in, they were really nice. They refunded the money for her ticket, and then she did this.
Yeah. I bought a big bag of dirt. They sell different size bags there at the counter. And I bought a big bag of dirt, and they had already turned everything off. They turned the water back on for me outside so I could go rinse my dirt off and find little gemstones. Got some cool pieces.
And the guy said they load the bags from some local quarry or something.
Yeah. Something like that.
They have it all set up so you can sluice.
Mm-hmm. It's probably more of a fun kids activity. I don't know, I liked it, but it was probably geared more towards little kids.
Get it. Look at the magic I find. Look at that. Purple. Something. Blue. Kind of lavenderish. A really smooth one. Shade bag.
I was putting them over here.
There. Is there any other good ones in there?
It's over. Pretty sure.
Here's a piece of alright.
I think I found a tiger bag too, but it's not on the thing.
But he said that the cave's been formed for over 2 million years.
Yeah.
And that there was people in there during the last big earthquake in this area. The San Andreas shooken. And he said that the people in the cave didn't know anything had happened until they came out and everyone up here, there was stuff off the shelves. He said they didn't even know. Because he said that it's all blue granite and it's all like a vertical shaft, so he said it doesn't like move or anything. So he said that an earthquake wants to travel through the easy stuff. And he said they didn't even feel a shake down there. Put some more in. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. No?
Yeah.
Cool. The green. Yeah, that one's dark wood. Mustard rock. This is what, broken glass?
That's what I think, but I mean, who knows? They say it's quartz.
And the pink one.
Jasper,
That's quartz.
yes, quartz. Where are we focusing? We're not.
Maybe just to dump all that in your bag?
Huh?
Just to dump all that in your bag?
Polish on maybe?
Oop.
What did you drop?
Right there. Oh. Sorry.
Hey. Let's just dump the rest of that out.
Well, then we can dump the rest in our bag.
Or So this is so cool. You want to go back into the cave and into more caves?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, not all caves have a big old rail system or walkways like that, I bet.
No. Like those big, huge crystal ones in Mexico?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You'd go in there?
Maybe. But that was pretty neat. And it didn't feel scary at all. Like once you're in there, because it's all, like you said, it's like a big old walkway. And it was really like all iron.
Is it so cold though?
No,
That was crazy. Like, it was crazy in me. Like,
But you know
hurting
me.
my skin at the top.
but you know me, I'm not that cold of a person. But oh, big old thumper. All right. I'm a fool.
Find more. So when they clean it out, they find tons of stuff that people missed.
Huh?
He said when they clean these out, they find tons of stuff that people missed. But I'm good on here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You want to slip that into the... So yeah, that was what we did with the bag of dirt and found some gemstones. And she saved me some, so when I got out of the cave, I could look for my own. And I found some cool ones too, but she found a lot of cool ones. So all in all, it was a really cool, fun time.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I would definitely go in the cave again. Hopefully maybe someday she'll want to go in the cave.
Yeah, maybe.
'Cause
I need to prepare myself for that.
it definitely didn't feel claustrophobic to me once I was in there. It was quite large.
Look at it. I think I found a piece of light green citrine.
Pretty cool. Your favorite color.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.